For years, the legendary filmmaker James Cameron had an idea for a movie that he thought he would never be able to make. A film that was ambitious, technical, and groundbreaking. Luckily for him, after years of waiting, filmmaking technology had finally caught up to his imagination. Cameron finally brought us to a brand new world, Pandora, in 2009's Avatar. However, what seemed like a start of a revolution in filmmaking would eventually see its downfall. Cameron had been teasing the idea of making Avatar for years, so when he finally announced it, fans went wild. With an enormous catalog of blockbusters like Titanic, Terminator 2, and Aliens, this would be the biggest swing of his career. This big swing would come with quite a hefty budget, with the total rounding out to nearly $500 million. This budget sent shockwaves through Hollywood, as this quickly became one of the most expensive films ever to be made, at the time. Now you may be wondering at home, why was this budget so insane? Well, this movie was going to be a visual effects extravaganza, with Weta Digital taking most of the shots. They would total around 1,800 visual effects shots by the end of the film. This was the first of its kind, long before the days where doing it all in post was basically the norm. This insane feat meant that they had to make up an entirely new style of filmmaking. Every scene that had a Na'vi in it was shot on a digital soundstage, with over 120 different cameras at all different points, filming every single angle of the character. These cameras worked in tandem with motion capture suits that the actors were wearing to recreate the characters in a digital environment. You've probably seen these motion capture suits in some behind the scenes footage. They're the ones with the ping pong balls that are all over the place. They got the cap on with the camera that is sat right here. They make everyone look really, really cool. Well, these were the basis for how these 9-foot tall aliens were created. If you're sitting at home wondering, well, this all kind of seems too easy, you know? Well, James Cameron would also agree with you, which is why he was hell-bent on shooting this film in 3D. Unfortunately, the cameras that are able to shoot 3D are not too small. This makes it incredibly hard to have a lot of motion or dynamic shots while using these 3D cameras. Evidently, this was no problem for James Cameron, as he would just simply ask them to remake and redesign new cameras just for him. You know, I guess it kind of pays off to be a super rich, super famous director sometimes, just sometimes. This was just one of 100 different technical advancements that were needed to make this film. With all of those technical advancements, they were ready to go. All they needed was a cast. The lead role of Jake Sully was originally offered to Matt Damon for a whopping 10% of the box office gross, which he turned down. Yikes. The role would end up going to Sam Worthington, as well as the co-lead Neytiri going to blockbuster legend Zoe Saldana. Sigourney Weaver would also make an appearance to round out the cast. Together, this cast would embark on a style of filmmaking that no other actor had done before, making their performances truly one of a kind. The pressure on this film to perform was insane, and it ended up paying off, with this becoming the highest grossing movie of all time. This film became so popular that fans even reported being depressed that they would never be able to visit Pandora in their lifetime. This craze swept the world, with everybody and their grandmother seeing this film over and over and over again. Another contributing factor to this film's success was the fact that it was shot in 3D, driving ticket prices nearly double that of what a regular ticket would cost. This film received almost universal praise for its ability to strike a chord with almost any type of audience member. The techniques used in this film helped pave the way for a new style of filmmaking, helping artists tell the stories that they've always wanted to tell, but couldn't due to technical limitations. This movie showed that you can completely engross yourself in a world that doesn't exist. Week after week, people kept showing up to this film, which led to the worldwide box office leading to $2.932 billion. That's so many dollars.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
People could not get enough of this film and the world it brought to life. However, what comes up, unfortunately, must always come down. With most things in life, from a winning sports team to a pop star, people inevitably find problems when something is getting universal praise. That same thing happened to Avatar. Most of these complaints were about the story and how it was derivative of more classic tales like Pocahontas. Which, to be fair, when you look at it head on, it's not the craziest criticism in the world. A man from a faraway land has to come in and learn the ways of a native tribe. Along the way, he falls in love, learns the way of the tribe, and begins to fall in love with them in order to betray his own people. You see what I mean? The criticisms kept evolving as Jake Sully was more seen as a white savior, and the depiction of the Na'vi was seen as culturally insensitive. The film's depiction is seen as surface level, with not much thought put into the real-world parallels that the Na'vi pulls from. Beyond that, a bigger issue that people had was the one-dimensional characters and stale dialogue. The humans are shown as pure evil, with the exception of Jake Sully's team. Then you have the Na'vi, which are shown as pure good. While the message of the film is about human capitalist greed, the way that it was told to us was a bit heavy-handed. We get it. Corporations suck. But without acknowledging that there are some decent people in these corporations, it can feel very one-note. Cameron himself has been very outspoken for his love of the environment and his hatred towards the industrialization of these corporations. With how much passion he does have about this, it did lead to the dialogue feeling a bit preachy at times. Cameron has responded to these complaints, defending his film in the many years since its release. In fact, in recent years, the film has gotten a bit of a resurgence, as Hollywood has seemed to be moving to solely making superhero films. Cameron is one of the few remaining directors left that seem to be able to bypass that studio system and make films that he is truly passionate about. This passion has been taken away from so many directors who have been forced to cater to the bean counters at the studios. So because of this, many people have championed Avatar for being an original IP from an original director that was able to make it to #1 at the box office. While the criticism hasn't gone away, many people have chosen to accept the film for what it was trying to be and focus on the good that it brought to the industry. This resurgence is also in part due to the long-awaited sequel finally coming out. Cameron said before the first film even came out that he had plans to make 6 different Avatar films. Unfortunately, his imagination outgrew reality yet again and was forced to wait another 10 years before he could make his proposed sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water. This film had another massive budget that was estimated at around $400 million. Combine that with the promotional budget, this film would have to crack over $1 billion just to break even. Again, that is just so many dollars. Luckily for Cameron, if there's anything he does have, it's confidence in himself.
Confidence is everything.
Despite all that pressure, The Way of Water would break box office records yet again, as well as receiving a much higher critical reception, addressing some of the problems of the first film by having a story that focused on Jake and Neytiri's children. The dialogue and character work was also greatly improved, even if some of the environmental stuff was, again, heavy-handed. But hey, you know, we got a couple things, so what can you do? Avatar marks a moment in cinematic history. The way that it changed cinema allows filmmakers to tell stories that they thought they never would be able to. Enormous franchises like the MCU owe a lot of credit to Avatar for what it did to the visual effects world. What are your thoughts on the original Avatar? Does it still hold up today? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching ScreenRant, and be sure to come back for more insights on your favorite movies and TV shows.